What's up, everybody? Andrew Mahone here with Tricky Jim at Full Grip Games. Today, I'm going to be reviewing Justin Bokhari's regional winning Tina-Chomp deck. Came out of nowhere and was able to win the San Diego Regional Championships. This deck utilizes Garchomp and Giratina-GX as well as Mismagius, and it is a very control-oriented deck. You can control how many prizes your opponent is at. You can control the abilities that they can use with Power Plant. You can also control the Pokemon they have in play with GGN-GX. So it's definitely a grindy deck, pretty difficult to play as far as standard decks are concerned, and it's got a lot of options, which makes it a pretty appealing deck for a larger tournament like a regional championship. I also think it had this kind of surprise factor heading into San Diego with not a lot of players knowing how the deck worked or what its primary strategy was. The main focus of the deck is to use Mismagius to go behind in prizes early, and then you can use Reset Stamp to limit your opponent's hand, and Karate Belt as well as Counter Gain to launch quick and efficient attacks with your Garchomp and Giratina. So early game, you get to use Mysterious Message, forfeit a couple of prize cards, but that does allow you to use GGN-GX on the second turn of the game, which is really, really powerful. A lot of standard format is just building up a tag team Pokemon and then trying to sweep with it. Sometimes building up two tag team Pokemon. GGN-GX gets around any sort of bench barrier ability or anything like that. You just completely remove a Pokemon from play. Now, that does not actually take any prizes. It just discards one of your opponent's Pokemon, which is actually really good for this deck. Since you're going to be forfeiting a couple of prizes with Mysterious Message, you kind of want to stay behind on prizes so that you can use cards like your Karate Belt and your Counter Gain in order to attack efficiently. So while you are going for that early GGN-GX in a lot of games, it allows you to recoup a couple of turns so that you can continue manually attaching and building up a second tag team Pokemon. And usually by the time your opponent actually is able to recover from the GGN-GX, you have two Garchomp and Giratinas built up. You can snipe damage with linear attack and then finish things off with big calamitous slash attacks. Now, this deck is different than the Naglord focused Mismagius deck that we saw earlier in the season. The Naglord focused version really wanted to pop off, get two Mismagiuses launched on the first turn of the game, and B-string as many times as it could to get quick attacks and just try to run the opponent off the board. This deck is much slower, much grindier, and only plays two copies of Dusk Stone. I think that pretty much says it all. This deck is not necessarily going for the turn one Mysterious Message, though you are able to do that. This deck is more going for the turn 2 Mysterious Message and maybe trying to launch a turn 2 Calamitous Slash or a turn 2 GG&GX. And you don't necessarily need to use Dusk Stone to get a turn 2 Mismagius. I do like the two copies of Dusk Stone in here. As you can see, we only play one copy of B-String. It does allow you to set up some checkmate board states with the Naganadel and Guzzlord-GX. But the backbone of this deck is the Green's Exploration Engine, and since we do play the Green's Engine, we can't really have too many Pokemon with abilities in play. Now, fortunately, Naganadel and Guzzlord-GX's Violent Appetite ability does get turned off by Power Plant, and when it gets turned off by Power Plant, you are able to use Green's Exploration, but you have to be careful when you're playing this deck because you cannot use Green's Exploration while Mismagius is in play, so you have to Mysterious Message first before you use your Greens, and you also cannot use Green's Exploration while your Naganadel and Guzzlord-GX is in play, unless, of course, you also have Power Plant in play. Now, Greens being the backbone of this deck does make it very consistent and very, like I said, control-oriented. You're going to be able to Greens for the Reset Stamp on the turns that you want them, and a lot of games are going to go like this. You're going to Mismagius twice, forfeiting two prizes, and then your opponent will take out one Garchomp and Giratina-GX, and they'll still have one prize remaining. So you have a lot of good opportunities to Reset Stamp your opponent, which is why we play three, because you can Mysterious Message twice and then Reset Stamp them early game. Even if they haven't taken an actual knockout yet, they still have taken two prizes because of the Mysterious Message. Reset Stamp them to 4, and then once they start swinging into your guys, you could Reset Stamp them to 4 again, and of course, when they finally do knock out one of your tag teams, a Reset Stamp to 1 is extremely powerful. We do play a Faba in here, which is really cool for lost zoning tool cards, and then you can Cynthia and Caitlin to get them back. I really do love the ability to retrieve these one-of supporters from the discard pile with Cynthia and Caitlin, like Mallow and Lana and Lieutenant Surge. Lieutenant Surge allows you to pull off some really cool plays where you can Lieutenant Surge and Cynthia and Caitlin for something like a Mallow and Lana back from the discard pile and then use it in the same turn. So I really do love the one-of Lieutenant Surge in here since you are trying to go behind in prizes early. This deck is also one of the decks that utilizes Guzma and Hala the best out of any deck that I've seen so far, because you really want to get all three of these things early game with this deck. And even though Guzma and Hala doesn't draw you any cards, it actually works out because Mismagius draws cards for you with the Mysterious Message ability. So a lot of times you'll find yourself utilizing Guzma and Hala to get yourself the special energy that you need, probably a rainbow energy or a unit energy for your Garchomp and Giratina-GX. It also allows you to get a tool card, which is usually Karate Belt, since the Karate Belt can allow you to use your GG-GX attack early on, and a stadium card. Power Plant is usually the one you're looking for. It's the only one we play, so that you can lock down your opponent's GX abilities. So Guzma and Hala, very strong for this deck, and it also allows you to discard 2 other cards from your hand, which a lot of times works really good because you want to lower your hand size so that you can Mysterious Message for more cards and see more cards. So I really do like the Guzma and Hala function in this deck, and that's about it for the deck profile. It is definitely a grindy deck to play. I should mention that the Blacephalon here is a cool strategy that you can use as well to take on non-GX decks, since we do struggle against non-GX decks sometimes, and especially control decks. You can actually use Mysterious Message and force your opponent to 3 prizes and then try to reset stamp them to 3 and go in with Fireworks Bomb, which you can use with either the Beast Ring or your counter gain, and just try to snipe 12 damage counters a couple of times before your opponent gets set up. This is a good strategy against the Baby Blacephalon deck, a good strategy against Pidgey control, and a good strategy against Doll Stall. That's the kind of thing that you're going to want to do with the Baby Blacephalon here. Alternatively, instead of blowing up 3 Mismagius with Mysterious Message, you can just allow 1 Garchomp and Giratina to hit the bin without using any Mismagius, which is really cool because you can use linear attack and kind of soften things up. And then when they do knock out the Garchomp and Giratina, you can promote the Baby Blacephalon, go counter gain, Psychic Energy, Reset Stamp, and then just start sniping 12 damage counters to everything and try to take control of those matchups that way. And that's it for the deck profile. We're going to see how this game works in some gameplay and see if we can win some games. As I was saying before, this deck is pretty grindy, and it feels like you have your entire deck at your disposal most of the game, which makes some decisions really tough to make. With Green's Exploration decks, you can quite literally forge your path forward by choosing any card out of your deck each turn to formulate your strategy. And that can be really tough to play with sometimes when you have so many decisions to make every turn. It can feel a little overwhelming, but this deck is definitely a lot of fun to play. I kind of like that, actually. The whole green strategy has been growing on me as I've been playing it more and more lately. It looks like we are playing against a Granbull deck, which is something that I have not seen in quite some time, but how relevant is that with our Fairy Week Dragon Pokemon? Excellent meta call by my opponent, and not exactly something that I want to see here. So we are going to Tag Call, and I think that our best option, potentially, we only have 2 Mismagius in the deck. We could let a Garchomp and Giratina get KO'd and then go in with Blacephalon if it was in the deck, but it's not. So this is the kind of thing that we have to look for in our deck. There are so many different strategies you can use in order to try to win your games. With no Baby Blacephalon in the deck, this is going to be really tough, since that is our main strategy against most non-GX decks. So I think we are going to, it's like there's no points in getting all those. Maybe Guzma and Hala can allow us to get out of the gates quickly. We're probably going to Cynthia and Caitlin here on the first turn of the game, and I feel pretty comfortable just getting rid of this and drawing 3 cards. We'll see what we get off of those. Power Plant is fine. I don't think that my opponent is going to be using any Pokemon powers and any abilities on Pokemon GX or anything like that, but we are going to wait for the second turn to really pop off here, and I'm going to save that Power Plant just in case my opponent plays anything crazy like a Wonders Labyrinth or something like that that I really need to bump, or Viridian could also be mildly problematic. This matchup is scary, and it's crazy because I don't think that I've seen the Gramble deck in months. I mean, it was popular like last year. I'm actually playing against I'm pretty sure this is a Tricky Gym viewer as well, Quick Jam. At least I did have a Quick Jam in the chat the other day on Twitch. So if this is the same Quick Jam that is from Twitch, shout out to Quick Jam. And thanks again for watching the channel. This should be a fun matchup for sure. They're going in with the Professor Oak setup. They get to get 3 different types of Pokemon for their bench. They've already got the Ditto Prism Star, so I imagine we will be seeing a Snubbull, maybe something like a Blitzel, or a lot of times this deck will also play like Magcargo in order to stack their deck and get exactly what they want on top of their deck turn after turn. But it looks like this deck in particular is using the Zebstrika engine, which is interesting. Now, what's really scary is that, I mean, I guess I get to take out that Ditto turn 1. That's cool. Maybe find myself the Marshadow. But what is very scary is that, my opponent could just one-hit KO this Garchomp Giratina. I do have weakness guard, so we are going to rely on that for sure this next turn. I'm not going to probably send down the Power Plants. I think we're just going to go for another Garchomp and Giratina, so I have something to potentially promote. But it is just a very grindy situation that we're in. So I think we're going to get the Mysterious Message, and getting another Chomp would probably be good. Also getting Mismagius is like probably good, but I've decided I really don't necessarily want to use Mismagius. I think that we're probably locked into doing that though, because of the fact that my Blacephalon is prized. So I think we're going to give up on the Blacephalon dream real early, though that is kind of the, best strategy you can use against a deck like this, is to just let the Garchomp Giratina get knocked out naturally, go in with Blacephalon and kind of tee off and snipe a bunch around. So we'll do that, and then I think I want to Guzma Hala first, because then I get to draw more cards. This Great Catcher is probably not going to see use, and also the counter game probably will. This Naglord probably will. I mean, we could Chaotic Order GX. I don't necessarily want to eliminate that that option from myself, and I kind of want the counter gain as well, so I'll get rid of both of those. We're going to go get another Power Plant, probably Karate Belt. Karate Belt's okay. And a Rainbow Energy. Karate Belt I don't necessarily want to attach to the active, though, because I'm going to need a Psychic Energy still. So it's like not even great to grab that. I think I will just grab these, and I'll probably throw the Naglord down onto the bench and just go from there. So we're going to do that. Got the Power Plants. The counter gain can go on the active. No, it doesn't even help with the active, so that's fine. I think we're just going to counter gain the Naglord, and then we get to Mysterious Message for 6, which is a pretty decent draw for us. Switch and the Dusk Stone, all pretty good. I do have Reset Stamp if I want to stamp their hand now, but I actually kind of want them to have a big hand because it makes it harder to attack with the Gramble. And then I'm just going to linear attack the Ditto and hope this kind of buffs out with the weakness guard energy on my active Garchomp and Giratina, making it so that they can't necessarily... There's the Blacephalon. No way. That's good. It's cool to have now, but it's going to be very difficult for me to force them onto 3 prizes, since I did prize one of my Mismagius as well. That's the other way to force 3 prizes, is to blow up 3 Mismagius, which could be very good for us, obviously, because we could maybe snipe some of these lower HP Pokemon, maybe even take like a double prize turn or something like that. All out, if my opponent gets it this turn, we'll do 160 damage, which is quite a lot to deal with. But I do have Mallow and Lana available to me, so I can tag call for Mallow and Lana and maybe Cynthia and Caitlin or something like that. Maybe I could tag call for Mallow and Lana and another Garchomp and Giratina. Put that onto the bench, and since I do have the switch in my hand, I can Mallow and Lana and then switch back out to the active and use Calamitous Slash. But it's definitely going to come down to this Garchomp and Giratina needing to very much go the distance, and then me hoping that my opponent kind of fumbles somewhere along the line, since it's not going to be very easy for me to be able to stream multiple attackers against this deck that is using, all out for 160 turn after turn. That is, even with the weakness guard energy, still putting a lot of pressure on and taking, 2-hit KOs. And it looks like they actually may just have the knockout on this Naglord, which I guess we'll have to see after this Zebstrika sprint. They're going for it. If they hit that, I mean, I could theoretically stamp to 2, but that doesn't even really help, I don't think. They have 1 card left in hand. I wonder if they could get rid of it. I don't think they can. They're looking at it, so they have to hit for 60. That's actually fine for me because, I guess I could Violent Appetite that away eventually. But we are just going to go in with the Garchomp and Giratina this turn. I think stamping up to 5. I'm not sure if that's even worth it because we give them a bigger hand. I know they can't get rid of that card in their hand right now. For Calamitous Slash to take the knockout, I am going to need the Rainbow Energy, so we are going to do that. I am going to go in with the switch. I can greens as well. We don't need to get too much else yet, so I think Mysterious Treasure, so that I can get another Mismagius into play, is good. And then I can tag call for something else. The B-String is also good. If I force them to do that, I can potentially... Yes, I kind of like that. So, well, yeah, we're gonna get the B-String. That's fine. Cool. So, I'll get these. Get at least Mysterious Treasure once. And like I said, the reset stamps do not seem as valuable against this deck. I can get myself a Misdreavus, and we'll be able to draw more cards with that. But then, alternatively, we could force this Blacephalon instead. But I will never get to... Yeah, we're gonna end up using Switch. We're attacking with this. This has a Fairy Charm ability. All right, that's good. And we'll put this down. I think I'll use the Dusk Stone just to have it. And then you don't really want, to put this Blacephalon down. Though I think it's fine just being on the board because we get ourselves into a situation where if they take 3, non-GX knockouts, then they only have to knock out 1 tag team. We ideally want them to knock out 2. So I'm just going to go in with the Calamitous Slash this turn and leave the Mismagius on board. We kind of want that reset stamp protection just to have it, if we can at all help that. And also another cool play that you can do with the Mismagius here on the bench is that you can Mallow and Lana into the Mismagius, something that I really like to do, and then Mysterious Message the Mismagius away. So that's going to be a really potent strategy for us. And I think now that we're at this place, we're looking at, we're not going to use this Blacephalon. The strategy is starting to become a little bit more evident, right? We're not going to use this Blacephalon. We are going to blow up this Mismagius, and we are going to try and use Chaotic Order GX to end the game. So when we do Mysterious Message this B-String will be useful to help accelerate energy onto the Naglord. And so long as they don't gust it out and KO it, it will be a nice little asset for us to have in play because I only have to take 2 more knockouts with this Garchomp Giratina. I'm going to Mallow and Lana this turn and take it, which will be very good. We're going to use the, the Mismagius as well. So that's all very good. And it might be good to, increase my opponent's hand size as well. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see. I'll get these. Seems legit. And we got to start manually attaching to something. I already have a Cynthia and Caitlin in my hand, so that's fine. We'll take these. And then we're going to Mallow and Lana, and I feel comfortable discarding the Blacephalon and probably this Garchomp and Giratina. Though that is a little bit sketchy. I could also discard the greens. Yeah, I think that's probably fine. We'll discard the Cynthia and Caitlin. Cool. So we'll get rid of those. Switch into the Mismagius. And then Viridian's in play. So I can actually heal this guy, which is cool. I like that. And we're going to use Violent Appetite. You know, get that 60 damage off of there. It's awesome. And I get to Mysterious Message this. I will attach this energy here. And there's nothing really in this hand that I want to thin. So I'll just Mysterious Message. And that's like a free switch into my Garchomp and Giratina. It gets to take a knockout on this Gramble. And I think, yeah, we're going to definitely use Beast Ring. Get those onto the Naglord here so that checkmate board state is starting to get kind of flushed out. We are just hoping that they do not have the Great Catcher to bring up and KO my Naglord. So I think I actually do not want to give them more cards because that will increase the odds that they are able to find the Great Catcher, where if they just have to Zebstrika for 4 cards, limit their hand down, get a Gramble out, then it's not as likely that they will find the Great Catcher combo. The Great Catcher really does help them to limit their hand size down too. So we're kind of all in on this play right now. I just have to limit them next turn. They're going to hit. I'm going to use Calamitous Slash, ideally one more time. And then I need them to kind of not have Great Catcher for 2 turns in a row. If they do Great Catcher, the Naglord, in kind of a tough spot. I guess maybe I hold the Cynthia and Caitlin instead of the greens. I mean, obviously I ripped the greens off the prize. So, or off of the, I ripped more greens off of the Mismagius there. So it's not looking ideal now. But I think keeping the Cynthia and Caitlin, maybe that would give me some extra options to get the Mallow and Lana back from the discard pile if I needed to try and win the game with Garchomp and Giratina, say if this thing does get gusted out. Because if this thing gets gusted out, I mean, I guess I do still have that weakness guard energy on. So even if this thing does get gusted out, I still have 2 more turns of trying to not lose the game with Garchomp and Giratina-GX. And that is going to kind of churn through a bunch of Grambles there. And if this is my opponent's last Gramble, then they are kind of in a tricky situation. They need to get a Snubble out into play in order to have a backup attacker for next turn. If they miss a Snubble this turn, then I'm in a game-winning scenario. And it looks like that's the situation. They're not able to use that all-out attack that turn. Very creative deck from my opponent. Definitely a little bit scary with the Fairy weakness for our Tina-Chomp deck. But you saw how we were just able to take control of the game. And that's it's really what this deck aims to do. And you can see how grindy some of the decisions are in this deck. And I'm nowhere... Hey, free wins. Let's go. I'm definitely nowhere near piloting this deck 100% optimally. I think that this is the kind of deck where, you know, optimal piloting is maybe more theoretical than something you can actually do. I think, obviously, Justin Bokhari just about perfected his gameplay to win the regional championship. And we also had Gustavo Wada finish in the top 8 of a regional championship with this deck as well. 2 very, very talented and accomplished players. But this deck is definitely not for not a beginner deck, I would say. That is for sure. And there are some matchups that really hinge on you not prizing certain pieces or having your draws go a certain way. See here, this opening hand is not great for us. We have to just wait and use our Misdreavus on the next turn. And that's not horrible either. It's just not, the greatest thing ever. I think, with 2 Misdreavus down, it's about as good as we could hope for. I could attach, I was considering maybe attaching the Psychic or the Weakness energy to this Misdreavus on the bench. And what that allows us to do is next turn, if I do go into a Misdreavus and I use Mysterious Message and I draw into a Tinachomp, but I don't have another Misdreavus, then I could manually retreat the Misdreavus that I had attached to, attach the new energy to the Tinachomp, and still get a turn 2 linear attack. Without attaching, then I kind of need to get 2 Misdreavuses, and I'm kind of banking on doing that. I would like to get 2 Misdreavuses this next turn. I'm kind of believing in the deck a little bit. If we, blow up one of these, then maybe find a Greens Exploration or something like that. You can Greens for the second Mysterious Treasure, find a Dusk Stone, something like that. This does look like it is Blacephalon that we are working with. So I'm going to Mysterious Treasure away the Faba, since that's a card I do not plan on playing this turn. Looks like, or probably in this match, looks like we have all 3 Mismagius in the deck, Garchomp Giratina in the deck, Naglord. It's always nice to take a little look and see what's prized. We prized a plant. We prized a stamp as well. Those are fine prizes for sure. And we have 1 Dusk Stone in the deck. So we are chilling. And we got the baby Blacephalon in there as well. So feel pretty comfortable. I mean, it doesn't matter which one you send because it does not matter. So we'll do that. And then I guess, sending for only a draw of 2 feels really bad. So maybe a Weakness Guard energy should have gone down this last turn. And I think we probably will go here in hindsight. And then I kind of have to stamp to 6 as well. I did not prize a stamp. I have it in my hand. Sick. And then we're going to Mysterious Message this away, which is fine. And if I do find myself a Garchomp Giratina, I was going to say maybe at least a Greens or something like that. I do get to Surge, which is cool. And then I can, I was going to say, you can go Misdreavus this, but I can't Misdreavus quite yet because I need to find myself another Pokemon. So I do want to hold on to this, and we're going to use Cynthia and Caitlin and probably draw some cards first, hoping to find a Greens so that I can find myself the counter gain at least and go in with that. So we will ditch one of these and probably get the Lieutenant Surge back from the discard pile. Seems like a good one to have. Draw 3 cards. And never punished. We did find the Garchomp Giratina in the counter gain, so that will allow us to do that play, which is cool. And I also have a Pokégear 3.0, so I do like that. We can go get maybe a Greens off of this Pokégear. I think I do want to thin my deck just 1 more card, though. But I also don't want to use this Mysterious Treasure yet. So, I mean, because all these discards feel bad with Mysterious Treasure. Literally all of them. So, I think we'll Pokégear and see what we do get the Greens. So, that's neat. So, because I got the Greens, I can actually just Greens for a Dusk Stone and don't need to forfeit a card, and I can get a Reset Stamp as well. So I think we are going to Dusk Stone, attach the counter gain to this, and Reset Stamp my opponent to 4 cards. Seems pretty good. Could also get a Power Plant, but like I said, I don't really want to discard any of these. So this is going to go here. This is going to get us a Mismagius onto our active, and we can message that away. This whole hand is good, so I think, well, The whole hand is good, but I think I do probably need a Mysterious Message one or Mysterious Treasure one more card away, since I have the Surge, but I don't actually have a draw card in my hand. So we do need to see some more cards and actually, in order to make this play actually work. So we're gonna Mysterious Treasure. I think the Psychics feel like the most valuable card in this deck, and I kind of just want another Garchomp and Giratina. It's usually the game plan that we go for. It's going to be to set up 2 of those, and then I have to use the stamp after the Mysterious Message. So we're going to do that. Go in with our Duderson here, and hopefully this buffs out. Like I said, tough deck to pilot. Didn't get the turn 1 attachment to the Garchomp Giratina, so we're kind of limited there. But this is kind of the shake and bake play. We're going to stamp to 4 and just start kind of pinging away at Poiples. I think I kind of like the bench better, because if I eventually get to build up a Calamitous Slash or something, I'll be knocking out the one in the active position. But at this rate, feels good just to have this Garchomp and Giratina in the active, and then I will probably just start building up this one on the bench and use Karate Belt to be able to use Calamitous Slash or GGN-GX in 2 turns. So I do have like a 2-turn clock, and then this one is just going to sit up here and start softening things up so that Calamitous Slash does actually take knockouts. Assuming my opponent gets a Blacephalon here, then I am going to need to soften them up in order to take those one-hit knockouts, because Calamitous Slash only does 160, and, Blacephalon's got 180 hit points. So that's a little bit sketchy. This matchup in general feels sketchy because my opponent can very easily just completely vanquish these Garchomp and Giratinas. I mean, if they get set up at all, it is going to be kind of a nightmare situation for me. Now, something that's cool is that, I can play around their Beast Ring turn pretty effectively, because, GGN-GX removes the threats without actually taking prizes. So that's kind of cool, and I could force them to waste resources by doing that. But with my opponent getting 3 Poipole out into play very early, kind of feels rough. Like, they're going to get a bunch of Naganedos. They got, supporters seem to be drawing out of this A-okay. Now, next turn, I'm going to use Guzma Hala, and I can get Power Plant to stop this Ultra Conversion nonsense that they're going to be using, and also, as we see, Dedenne, that they are going to have right here to data change and try to see more cards. So that is good for us. And another really terrible thing for us to deal with in this deck is status conditions. We only have 2 Switch cards in the deck, 1 Mallow Lana and 1 hard copy of Switch. So this matchup is not good, and any deck that can inflict confusion or any kind of status conditions for that matter on our Garchomp and Giratina can be very problematic for us. So that something to look out for here. Blacephalon can use that attack for just 1 energy, and Bursting Burn also brings Garchomp and Giratina into the 250 hit point range, which is just much easier to hit than 270, only requiring 5 energies for that mind-blown attack. So that's sketch, and there's a lot of sketchy things about this matchup. So I am definitely concerned at this point. I think going first, we really want to get a turn 1 energy attachment onto the Garchomp and Giratina so that I can get, some action going on turn 2 with Calamitous Slash or GGN to eliminate threats. Now, the bad thing about using GGN-GX is that it gives them more turns to potentially charge up their guys. Now, GGN-GX actually feels weirdly good on his Naganadel, which is kind of odd, but true. I think probably Lieutenant Surge, Guzma, and Hala I don't need to bring anything into the active this turn, so I might be getting rid of that Great Catcher. Let's Ultra Space. I think also we're kind of not using this Blacephalon this game since I've already given up 2 guys, so we could just get that, and I can Guzma Hala it away. But we're going to Lieutenant Surge first. So we're going to do that, then I'm going to Guzma Hala, and we're going to hope to find something off this Pokégear as well to help us refresh our hand. I feel like Guzma Hala getting rid of these guys is totally fine, since at this point I've got 2 Garchomp Giratinas in play. It's not going to be much more than that. So, oh, we're out of special energy in the deck. Well, that's sick. Okay, so we're only thinning 1 card. And also, my Karate Belt's in my hand. So I thought maybe I was going to be able to find a rainbow there or something, but it looks like those are not available to me, so that's lit. What did I... Got rid of 2 units, so all my rainbows are priced? That's fine. We're going to be just fine. We'll go there, and then we're going to Pokégear. And we did find greens. So greens is definitely the one that we want this turn. And we're going to be using greens to get ourselves Tag Call so that we can draw more cards with like Cynthia and Caitlin. And then probably just another green seems good, or Tag Call. Reset Stamp also seems good. We do also just need more energy. We do not have any other way to get it, so I think Energy Spinner is actually our card of choice because I am out of special energy in the deck. So we're going to go here, and then I'm going to save the Energy Spinner, save the Tag Call. I don't necessarily like super need to... I don't super need to play that Tag Call this turn. That's fine. And then I think we're just going to go in with a linear attack on the Blacephalon, assuming that's who comes active next turn. However, this could get really ugly really quick because Heatran GX can just come on out and is going to be having a field day. So that feels really bad. I think Heatran might actually be the one who makes its way into the active, or they just charge up a couple times. And so I think the Heatran is like the biggest threat, because if my opponent comes up with Heatran, then takes a knockout, and if I can't respond to that Heatran with a knockout, then we're in a really, really brutal spot. So, I mean, we could tell already, the writing's on the wall. This matchup is not going to go well for us. They could just very easily take these knockouts, but it looks like they're just accelerating and not doing much. So that's actually really good for us. I don't mind that at all. We can go get ourselves another Psychic Energy, since Karate Belt is going to allow me to attack, use GG End, whatever I need to use. I could just GG End the Naganadel on the active, which is cool. Let's see, we want to look for like Mallow and Lana and Cynthia and Caitlin probably as our 2. Now, if I do GG End this Naganadel, which seems pretty good. I mean, that's kind of something that we need to do. Then they're not going to have nearly as many energy in play. But I also do not want to discard like any of these cards with this Mallow and Lana. So that also feels bad. I think I'm just going to Cynthia and Caitlin this turn and still thin one more time. And then hopefully they just Turning Point again. I guess because I could linear attack the Blacephalon, then I'm like in a slightly better situation. I think we're using Cynthia and Caitlin this turn, and we're going to do this and get a Surge back. Seems fine, because I am definitely going to be behind on prizes this entire game. So that's cool. And we got the Reset Stamp as well. So I don't mind softening up the Blacephalon, because we kind of know that that's going to be the guy who ends up coming. I actually did get the switch as well, so I could GG End this turn if I wanted to. GG End the Naganadel, and then what do? They probably bring up Blacephalon. I mean, then I've wasted my switch cards, and I haven't even gotten around the Bursting Burn yet, so that just feels bad, and I think I would rather not. But we'll see what they do this next turn. They really didn't do a lot, So I'm hoping that maybe the power plant kind of is sticking right now and that they just have this weird hand with not a lot going on in it, though I think that's kind of hard to believe with a 6-card hand and a Blacephalon deck. But certainly possible that they kind of just have a handful of Pokemon and can't Ultra Conversion. They don't have a Stadium either. With 2 Ultra Spaces in the discard pile, I do have 1 power plant down, so I'm at 2 plants down as well. The ideal turn for me is that they just use Turning Point to try and soften this thing up again, which seems, yeah, that's what they do. And they're attaching to this Naganadel GX, so they really got this hand with like not a lot going on, which is really cool for me, and I will take it. So this next turn, I'm going to GG end this Lost Thunder Naganadel. That seems kind of ideal, and then I can Mallow and Lana my active, though I may actually want to save Mallow and Lana for later. Seems kind of optimal. We'll Mallow and Lana. We'll heal. Okay. So we're going to get rid of Mysterious Treasure. Probably B-String. Appears as if... No, because if I could B-String onto the Naglord right now, which is actually good. So maybe we're getting rid of Lieutenant Surge because I'm not actually going to use that. And we're going to get rid of the Switch, weirdly enough, which is like actually like the best card that I have, but that seems like that's what we're doing. And then I could Mysterious Treasure, the Great Catcher, use B-String. I mean, I think I probably have 1 more turn before I have to do that. So we're just going to GG end this guy. Totally remove all of their energy from play without taking any prizes. We want to be careful on the taking prizes thing because obviously they can just use B-String. So we kind of had to take that out of the equation just so that they don't have as many recharge options available to them. Clearly their hand is like kind of, you know, jammed with something. I'm assuming that it's like a combination of Pokemon and B-Strings in that hand. Usually when Blacephalon gets itself into an unplayable hand, you got to figure, okay, they don't have a Stadium in their hand or they would have played it. If they have Pokemon in their hand, they have nowhere to put them on the bench because their bench was jammed, so they might have Pokemon, and they are attaching Fire Energy for turn, so they might have Fire Energy, and then probably the other unplayable card that they could have in their hand is B-Strings, so they probably do just have B-Strings ready to go, and it looks like they top-decked into their Heat Factory, so they're going to use that to see some more cards here, and I'm really hoping that they just do not take the knockout on my Garchomp and Giratina. I definitely need this to live 1 more turn. I wanted to wait 1 more turn to try and use this Mysterious Treasure since I don't want to get rid of my Great Catcher and I don't want to get rid of my Reset Stamp. Those are both very valuable at this point. I think they're my final ones. Well, that's my final Reset Stamp. I should have 1 more Great Catcher. So if there is a card for me to get rid of, it probably is the Great Catcher since I do have 1 more in the deck. And it would feel very bad to get punished. We see how quickly they were able to recoup their hand size once they finally found a Stadium. They could start using Naganadel GX to Ultra Conversion, and they were able to use Heat Factory to draw cards, and now things are getting a little bit out of hand. If they take a knockout on this Garchomp Giratina, I think we're for sure done. So this is a fingers crossed moment. Absolutely. I can start to whittle away at their board, which is good. I have Fighting Energy. So I still have B-String available to me. I could go start to set up the Naglord instead of using this, which is fine. Naglord does 180 damage, which is actually super relevant. So I guess I could actually attach here. It's probably fine. And then they're going on to their B-String turn. So I really would like to Reset Stamp this turn. And then I can Mysterious Treasure for my other guy and B-String to it. Probably gives me some options. That or I could wait to Reset Stamp them to 1. That's probably the best thing I could do. I think I do this turn, however, because that actually gives me just like slightly more options. And then I'm going to end up taking this knockout in the active. Seems good. So we'll do this. Can B-string to it. And now, I mean, I do have like basically a 0 card hand. However, kind of have to do it. So we can Calamitous Slash this Blacephalon. I think I kind of have to wait until it's a reset stamp to 1 situation in order to use that reset stamp. So that's what we're going to try and do. I mean, they are definitely taking that knockout on this Giratina-GX. I mean, I have to imagine. I did have a feeling I was going to see an energy there off the prizes since we did prize all our rainbows. So that's kind of where this guy's coming in. Now I do have options to attack with either the Garchomp and Giratina-GX or the Naganadel and Guzzlord. And 180 damage with Naglord is good. It can also heal itself, which is situationally useful as well. I do not have the GX attack available to me, unfortunately, because I did use my GGN GX attack, which I felt like I had to do. So these are real shake and bake hours here. I mean, I kind of have everything set up the way that I want it. They have to knock out 2 tag team Pokemon. I have to knock out 2 of their GXs. They are going to be a step ahead in knocking out my tag team Pokemon because they should take a knockout this turn. Their B-string's unlocked. You know, they have a big hand. They've got Heat Factory in play. There's really not a lot else that, you know, that they need. I mean, they should just have it, right? I mean, we see the energy coming down on the Blacephalon. I think that is, that's going to be it. So the Naglord here, very good for us because this is a clean Blacephalon that doesn't have 40 damage on it, so Calamitous Slash was not going to be able to take that knockout. So we did need to get our Naglord built up, and we've got the Rainbow Energy in hand off the prizes and the Reset Stamp. So I guess our game plan is going to be to knock out the Blacephalon, stamp to 1, and hope that they cannot do it again. Which is not the worst, okay? It's not like the worst situation ever. I could certainly imagine a matchup against Blacephalon going less good than this. At least we got a game on our hands. You feel me? The matchup against Baby Blacephalon is also very sketchy with the Garchomp and Giratina deck. Against Baby Blacephalon, I think the ideal strategy is to just linear attack a lot. You really want to start... Yo, they're going in with the Heatran, though? The Heatran. Now, Heatran needs 6 energy on it in order to take a knockout. Huh. And I can still take the knockout with my Naglord. But they're going to have, like, no energy left in play after this. So it's a little bit... I think they're scooping. I don't know why they scooped. I wanted to see what would happen. They got the knockout there, but I think, like, I'm going to knock out the Heatran, and then I think that they just lose from there. So maybe they foresaw that coming. We'll rock one more game and see. Maybe my opponent won't scoop this time. But I think you guys kind of have an idea of the Tina-Chomp deck and... really how tough. I mean, you see, this is a tough video to make because it's not a deck that, you know, I feel like you could just like pick up and pilot. It's a deck where every win condition is situational. They're all kind of weird and grindy. At the end of the game, you know, you have to try and very carefully select your moves forward because, as we saw, we're operating with a very limited hand. I mean, you can't really afford to use Mismagius more than twice, so maybe it's optimal to just use 1 at the beginning of the game and save 1 for the end of the game because you can't really use that third one. But we saw in that game, we didn't have the option to not use our second Mismagius because we were drawing very dead at the beginning. So we had to blow up both of our Misdreavus, and then we were not able to use a third Misdreavus in order to refresh our hand at the end. So we were just operating with a very low hand size and trying to take the win anyways. This will be our final match with Garchomp and Giratina deck here for the video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to check me out on Twitch as well, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream every single weekday. Also, if you're looking for PTCGO codes, make sure to check out fullgripcodes.com, where we have instant PTCGO code delivery. Literally, you just pick the codes you want. We have all of the most recent standard sets for PTCGO codes, and then boom, you check out, and the codes are instantly delivered to your email. Make sure to check out fullgripcodes.com. Awesome resource for PTCGO codes. Now, it looks like I might be playing against Arceus Dalgopalkia. That's kind of what I'm guessing with the Jirachi and the Tag Call, things like that. And this is a good matchup for us. We can limit their options considerably by using that GG and GX attack quickly, because they're going to be trying to build, they're going to try and build up an Ultra Creation GX. This is like what this deck does every single time. So it's going to attach 2 energies here, and they're going to Ultra Creation GX next turn. I mean, that's pretty much a guarantee. My goal is going to be to use GG and GX to just discard this thing after, just to discard this thing. I could also just Calamitous Slash it. Since they put the Rainbow Energy on, we could just Calamitous Slash. But we're not doing a knockout. Dang. All right, so I could do turn 1 linear attack, turn 2 Calamitous Slash. So I don't even need to GG end. So we're probably going for that. And then if they don't heal, I'm using Calamitous Slash to knock it out. And this is just like, this is the reason why this Garchomp Giratina deck is so good, because we get to control what happens in this matchup completely. And this deck is very popular. Arceus Dalgopalkia, one of the most popular decks for sure. I think here that we are getting Cynthia Caitlin and Guzma Hala. Those two feel like the best for us. And, because we want to guarantee ourselves the energy turn 2 to be able to use that Calamitous Slash. So we're going to start things off with the Cynthia and Caitlin. And the Lieutenant Surge is really good, so we don't necessarily want to get rid of that. The Pokégear is really good. The plant, honestly, that plant, we're like not going to use it. But we are going to have to use it eventually. So I think the Reset Stamp is going to be the weakest link here, because of the fact that I'm going to be actually skipping ahead in this matchup, I believe. So we're just going to go here and then target that thing down. I'm going to save the Power Plant for when I'm able to finally get Faba in my hand, so that we can actually take knockouts on Keldeo GXs, because that's going to be a little bit sketch as well. Keldeo GX's ability is really tough to take out, so we can't really waste our Power Plants, and we have to pinch those and try to use them with Faba, and then we're going to use Cynthia and Caitlin to get the Faba back. So ideally, I only have to use, the Faba Power Plant combo once, and we take a 3-prize knockout here. I can knock out Keldeo, or I could just linear attack Jirachi twice, and then I can just win the game with the Naglord. So I should be able to dodge having to knock out a Keldeo altogether. And this is where the Naglord is actually going to be really valuable for us. So my main goal here, fingers crossed, is to hope that my opponent does not Mallow and Lana this ADP this turn. That's usually kind of weird and not easy for them to pull off, because they'd have to retreat Mallow and Lana and then also have a switch. And as we see, they did not have it. So they're going to Ultra Creation GX, and then I'm going to go in and just, give this ADP a smack in here. We get to hit for like 240 damage, so that's lit. We are using Guzma Hala. I guess I could Lieutenant Surge Strategy this turn. I'm not even sure that I need to do all that, though. I think I could probably... Well, we might as well Lieutenant Surge Strategy this turn, because, to be honest, we about to go ahead in prizes quite a bit. So I think that's probably the wave. And then we're going to use Mysterious Treasure to probably get rid of one of these Pokégears, because that is actually the weakest card in this hand, which is kind of crazy to think about. We do have the Naglord, and we do have the Beast Ring, too, so that's good. And we're going to do that. Mismagius down. Blow up the Mismagius. And that way we can use Surge, then Guzma and Hala. And we probably want to Surge Cynthia and Caitlin, then Guzma and Hala. Cynthia and Caitlin can get us Yeah. We'll Surge, Cynthia Caitlin, and Guzma Hala. That's just going to allow us to see more cards. We'll get rid of this Garchomp Giratina. I don't think that we're going to need it. And sure, I guess we'll get the Surge back. And draw 3. Cool. So I've got the Fighting Energy. And now I need Guzma Hala to go get myself the... I guess I could Mallow Lana, get myself another Misdreavus as well as the counter gain. No, I need the... I actually need the Guzma Hala because we need the Rainbow. Yeah, so we're going to do this. We're going to get rid of that, and we're going to get rid of... I don't think I'm going to be getting hit at all, so I think I can actually get rid of the Mallow Lana, though it is a good switch card to have. We'll get rid of the Lieutenant Surge too because, to be honest, I'm going ahead. So we're going to get the Karate Belt, the Rainbow, and the Power Plant out of the deck. Those are all very good, and that's going to allow us to take this turn 2 knockout with Calamitous Slash. So we do like that. There. And then I think we don't need to try and bump this stadium, though it could be good. Because if I do get to hit into a Caldeo once for 160, then I can just use Ominous Eyes to take it out, which is kind of funny. But I think I'm going to hold on to him, and we're just going to Calamitous Slash for knockout on this Arceus Palkia. So this is exactly what we wanted to do. Turn 2, 290 damage. The ADP is gone. There's really not going to be a great way for my opponent to get energy back into play, assuming that they do not play Ends Resolve, which most of these lists are not playing Ends Resolve anymore. And I'm pretty sure this is how, the San Diego Regional Championships was not streamed, but I'm almost positive that Justin Bokhari probably, built a lot of his success at that Regional Championships on being able to have such a positive matchup against Arceus Palkia, which just cannot deal with the quick Calamitous Slash or the GGN. I mean, really, they're both options to just completely wipe out that threat. And since I am going to be able to control my opponent's side of the field, force them to take another prize, allow me to Beast Ring onto the Naglord, then we're just going to set up a checkmate board scenario very quickly. I can ping this Jirachi twice with linear attack just to take that out, go down to 2 prizes, haven't used my GX attack yet. Now, they do have counter gain, so this is scary. And they might go in with like some sort of crazy Fairy Mimikyu play this turn. And if they do have the Fairy Mimikyu and the counter gain, and if they Calamitous Slash this thing for knockouts, I'm going to be kind of salty. So we're kind of hoping that that is not a thing, though that is a function that some ADP decks have. So here we go. Salt incoming. Yes. They do have the Rainbow Energy and the counter gain they're going to copycat. So that is annoying. And I am going to have to figure out how to take this thing out of the equation. They're also going to take 4 prizes on this thing. So they are going to be just 1 prize card away from winning, and I do not get to Beast Ring. So they do have themselves the luxury of time now. And I need to figure out a way not to lose. I did forget about this Mimikyu, but we can Reset Stamp. That's good. Thinking about my options, I think everything is pretty much the same, except I just need to go up and ping this thing once. Okay, we are going to greens. I need to get myself... We're going to greens because I need to Reset Stamp. That's an obvious thing. So we're going to do that. I need to get myself a Pokemon as well. So we're going to go here and here. I could get myself Switch. I could just not Reset Stamp, right? I could get myself Switch, and I could get myself... Yeah, that seems kind of foolish, though. I think Stamp to 1, obviously very good. And then if I do 10 damage here this turn... Alternatively... Let's see, what Pokemon do I actually have left? I've got the Garchomp and Giratina. Huh. So we have to go for a Garchomp and Giratina. And I probably have to retreat this thing. Unless I get Treasure Switch. I think we're getting Treasure Switch. Because I think I have to... Yeah. I cannot afford... Cannot afford to to not linear attack the Mimikyu this turn. We have to. So that's fine. And then we are going to get rid of this Mismagius because we cannot attack with Mismagius this turn. So we have to get here, and we have to go here. And this game definitely got sketchy real quick with that Mimikyu play, but I think we're still cooling out here. I'm still confident, believe it or not. And then next turn, we're hoping to find one of our reset stamps off the Cynthia and Caitlin, but we have to linear attack this thing. I mean, they can linear attack me. If they invest another energy into the Mimikyu, they can linear attack me. Or they can linear attack this Misdreavus for 40, which is sketch. But then I am going to be taking out the Mimikyu this next turn, and then can finish off the game with my Naglord as I had intended to. This Mimikyu is a very strong tech in Arceus Dialga-Palkia. This was a tech that Xander used in his successful Arceus Dialga-Palkia list. It's a card that I've seen kind of making its way in and out of ADP decks. Not all of them are playing it. Some of them have opted to play Lucario and Melmetal GX kind of in that spot in order to tech for the Guardian Sylveon decks. But it looks like my opponent does not plan on letting this Mimikyu go down easily, which is a little bit frustrating. But I think that's fine, since they are just going to switch into the Jirachi, and I am going to continue to ping that thing while I hopefully attach to some new Pokemon. It looks like they're trying to build up Keldeo GX. I don't plan on having to KO that Keldeo GX. Now, the only attacks I plan on using for the rest of the game are going to be linear attack and then hopefully the GX attack. With no tool on this Garchomp Giratina, I don't have access to Calamitous Slash or GG End next turn. And it looks like they're just going to filch, draw more cards probably. That's fine with me. If I can find a reset stamp off this Cynthia and Caitlin, it's going to be very good. If not, it's fine. They are not really threatening. So long as I don't use Calamitous Slash, they're not threatening me a whole lot in this next turn. So we're going to tag call. We can get ourselves Guzma Hala and the Naglord, which is really good. And Naglord is like our win con, absolutely. So we are going to put this down. Probably, there's no point in attaching the fighting energy to the Naglord. So I think we're still going to use Cynthia and Caitlin. And I'm going to discard this Dusk Stone, which is doing nothing for us. And we're going to get greens back to our hand. For sure. Surge also good. Because if I Surge, well, now we got to get the greens. Okay. Surge is good, though. Because if I get Surge, and say I draw into a greens off of this, then that's like ideal. But if I don't find the greens off of this, then that is not ideal. We're going to live a little. I think we're going to find the greens. We did. Told you. All right, so we've got this. And next turn, we're going to go Surge and really make some plays happen. So I think it is harder for my opponent to heal the Jirachi. So I think what we want to do is attach here. We might as well attempt to stick a plant. It doesn't matter. And then we are going to linear attack the Jirachi. I think it is harder for them to Mallow and Lana that. They'd have to have a switch into Mallow and Lana. That, or we could do this. Yeah. I think the Jirachi is easier to kill. So we're going to go there. And then next turn, we take the knockout. And then the turn after, we win with Chaotic Order GX. This thing being on the bench, obviously a little bit sketchy. If my opponent were to custom catcher it out and KO it, that would be pretty rough for us. Also, taking the Jirachi out of the equation does help with their ability to draw out of Reset Stamp as well, which we plan on using next turn. Next turn, we're going to Surge, probably going to greens if I can actually get a Power Plant to play. We actually cannot put Power Plant to play. We cannot if we do not get Power Plant to play. So that is that's slightly problematic. But we could at least Surge and maybe like Guzma Hala. Well, kind of have to get a Power Plant in order to greens. That's just the way that is. But I needed to put this Naglord down and start building up onto it to have our win kind. And it looks like they are going to gust something. So they're going to gust this. That's fine with me because I just have the Mallow Lana in my hand. As long as they're not stamping me to 3, then I'm kind of chilling here. And they have to copycat, what, linear attack? Are they trying to linear attack my Misdreavus and end it that way? It's kind of interesting. Ideal top deck for me is a Reset Stamp. Well, no, they're attacking, so I can just use this. That's fine. Okay. So we can use the Power Plant. It's great. And then they cannot copy that. If I just actually use Chaotic Order GX this next turn, if I use Chaotic Order GX, they cannot copycat it, meaning that this Misdreavus will be fine. And then all I have to do is KO this Jirachi the following turn. So I don't know if I have a counter gain in the deck. Counter gain would get me there though. So let's Lieutenant Surge, and then we're gonna greens. Take a look at the deck real quick. So Stamp for sure. Counter gain. Okay. But I also need an energy. So I'm gonna Guzma Hala for hopefully a rainbow, which is in the deck. Okay. So we've got that. And then we can use our GX attack. And then all I have to do is Mallow Lana into the Garchomp Giratina and finish the game with Jirachi. So that should get us there. Theoretically. Theoretically. This should do it. So we have to do this, get rid of these. Yeah. And you notice how I said this is a good matchup. It is. It's just still sketchy though. So we've got that. And we can go here, Stamp to 1, and they cannot copy my Chaotic Order GX, obviously. And then I should be able, see, I can just pick 2 prizes too, so good. And, I mean, what, Power Plant, Mysterious Treasure, I guess. And then next turn, all I have to do is Mallow Lana, or just hard retreat into the Garchomp and Giratina, assuming that they cannot Mallow Lana this Jirachi. Now, they should not be able to, because even if they Stellar Wish into a Mallow Lana this turn, they do not have 2 cards in their hand to discard. So we should be okay there, and I'm thinking that the linear attack is inevitable at this point, but oh my goodness. I mean, talk about... this is just how this deck is. This deck is just pure grind, right? I mean, pure grind. And we're about to get stamped to 1, so I need to draw an energy or a switch. We got the energy, and that should just be GG's. They have to retreat into somebody else. It is going to probably be the Keldeo, I imagine. Yes, and I could just attach this energy, and that is game. I actually have Power Plant in play, so I can just Jet Pierce through the Keldeo GX, and that's going to be it. And we win! So that was crazy, but that I think that gave us probably the best demonstration of how this deck operates, and I think how this deck was able to do so well at the San Diego Regional Championships. Big shout out to Justin Bokhari for putting this deck on the map and winning his first regional championship with this deck. So thank you all so much for watching the video. Make sure to like the video, sub to the channel, ring that bell. Check me out on Twitch, twitch.tv/TrickyJim, where I stream Pokemon trading card game online content every single weekday. Also, make sure to check out FullGripGames.com. Make sure to pick up your Pokemon card singles there. When you support FullGripGames.com, you support me as a content creator as well. So thank you guys so much for supporting the store. Also, make sure to check out FullGripCodes.com, where we sell PTCGO codes for instant delivery. FullGripCodes.com. Y'all take it easy and have a good one. Peace.